Hey guys, welcome to Save Continue podcast, where every week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. As always, I am Shanae Howard. With me is Thomas Shelby
Hello.
and Ryan Robinson.
So when tech CEOs give keynotes, they always hold their hands like this, like that.
Okay. Eh, so guys, what have y'all been playing this week?
I just been playing Pro Skater, but like really not much.
Did you see that thing about the two Twitch people like one-upping each other in there, and like one person got like 56 million?
No, I didn't see
Uh,
that.
So yeah, they were like doing that like free skate trick thing where you just like try
Yeah.
and like get like a high score. So yeah, one of them got like a 56 million. So like it started off with like one playing for like 7 hours and getting like two something million, and then like the other person got on for like 10 hours, and they just kept like rising until like that. So it's been kind of
Well,
fun. It's been pretty exciting for
I'm
like the
better
Twitch
than they
community.
are because I unlocked the cheats, so I can get that score.
I mean,
You know?
put it on the Twitch channel.
Yeah.
Join the fight.
That would be some pretty funny clickbait, right? Like, come watch me get 100 million, and then
I
just turn
mean,
on the cheats.
I mean, people deceive subscribers and try to get views, doing much worse things. So,
Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be Twitch famous.
all right.
Tom, I feel like you have everything that it takes to be Twitch famous,
Yeah.
as it stands, without you doing cheats. So if you were to do
Well,
cheats, you could be more Twitch famous than anyone.
I
I
have
mean,
everything that it takes right now, but I'm gonna have a vasectomy soon, and then I'm not gonna have what it takes.
I mean, they don't cut your balls off. You'll still
You know what I
have
mean?
them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Depends on how shaky that doctor's hands are, Shanae.
yeah,
So,
Well, y'all have recently educated me on what shaky means.
yeah,
yeah.
you had the wrong idea. So,
Been playing anything else besides Tony Hawk?
No, man,
Or
I
just
haven't had a lot of time for that stuff. I've been reading here and there, but that's about it.
what you been reading?
I'm reading a John Grisham book called The Street Lawyer, and that's going okay. And
Hmm.
we'll see.
what's the street lawyer about?
I don't know.
A,
So far,
a
it's just
lawyer on
like
the
some.
streets.
So far, it's just some weird hostage situation
Okay.
with a bunch of lawyers.
Like
So
a
we'll
lawyer
see.
holding someone else hostage?
No, it's like a homeless guy holding a bunch of lawyers hostage.
Now you're talking.
Yeah,
I like that.
it's got dynamite strapped to him.
Cool.
Yeah,
You, Ryan.
but yeah, that's it.
So this last week here, me and Kaylee got the platinums for Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a very proud moment for both of us.
Does that unlock the OnlyFans
Yeah,
when you
that'll.
get that?
So the cool thing about getting the platinum is once the platinum pops, you get a message from Ubisoft with your OnlyFans information. So you just use that to get into Cassandra's OnlyFans.
So, like, is it a Ubisoft run OnlyFans where you can
Yeah.
see like Ubisoft devs naked, or does it make an OnlyFans for you automatically where you
So
can get
far,
naked?
the only two who are naked on the OnlyFans are Cassandra and Rayman. So that's what we get so
Oh,
far.
I forgot. I did play a game of video game Monopoly with my family, and I won. So that was nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because you're a winner.
6-player Monopoly takes over 2 hours.
Not interested.
I feel like any Monopoly takes over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, when your hands are shaky.
sure. I feel like that would help you with the
Uh,
dice and all.
what's your y'all's next team to platinum? Or are you still deciding?
So we decided that we're gonna play a game that we can like actually play together. We purchased a game called Hunt Down. It is a very 80s inspired action like platformer shooter affair. Um, you can choose one of like each player chooses one of three mercenaries, and you go through different areas, murdering different gangs, uh, to bring order back to this corporate-run mega city. So far,
I know the game you're talking about.
so
Looks cool.
yeah, game is very hard, but it's very also very cool, very fun. Lots of different guns, a lot of really funny references. Like one of the bosses talks just like Macho Man Randy Savage, and that's a good time.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and
Forgot about the games we played hanging out.
yeah,
Motor Racer.
we
and
played Motor
fighting
Racer.
games.
We played Motor Racer for the PlayStation 1.
Motor Racer 2.
Motor Racer 2, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kayla's favorite
Would
game,
you?
apparently.
I thought it
It's
was
fun.
Lion King.
I think she probably likes Lion King more.
Yeah.
But who knows?
It was interesting playing
Let's call her.
a PS1 racing
Let's-
game with with that frame rate and the pop in and
Yeah.
like all the things that were emblematic of polygonal video games of that time.
It was fun though.
Yeah, lots of
I was really bad.
yeah. Yeah, well I was really bad too. Like I didn't get through a single lap without falling off my bike, but Kayla like she like jacked into the Matrix and was immediately great at that game. So the game contains
Well,
a
she
lot.
grew up with it though.
Sure, sure. The game contains lots of what I can only describe as royalty-free ska.
It's more.
Is it just horns?
Ska. It's not really ska.
Oh yeah, because there was no horns.
Yeah.
My bad. The game had no horns.
Oh.
Let's see.
Fuck
Also,
Ryan.
Tom and I played Capcom vs SNK Part 2 for the Dreamcast. That game has not aged a day. That game is still fantastic, very fun. And we played Street Fighter V together, which was the highlight of my evening. Honestly, I very much enjoyed that.
Did you win any?
Yeah, I won a few. And
He's being modest. Usually, I win a lot more than Ryan. This time, Ryan won a match more than me.
so I'm doing.
Yeah.
I do okay. All right, I do okay. Then I think the other game. So I checked. Okay, so the version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey that I purchased also came with the remastered version of Assassin's Creed 3, and those I could like now playing an older Assassin's Creed game. I see why they made the changes to the combat that they did, because it just feels really. Going back to it, it feels really clunky and weird, and it's just
Bad, yeah.
bad.
And like I did spend almost an hour trying to get those like feathers or eggs or whatever in the beginning of that game.
Yeah, I don't even really know because so I want it. So when I on the cover of the game is the Native American assassin Connor, who looks very cool. He's got some really badass looking tomahawk. But so far, I'm playing as this weird white dude who is like talks to
His
like
dad.
That's his dad. Well, Connor's
so
dad fucking sucks,
Yeah, he does. But it eventually will get to Connor.
and
but-
he wears a very offensive tri-corner hat. Offensive only in that Kaylee really hates tri-corner hats, and she commented on it a few times.
Is it like this?
She hates his ponytail
Is it
as
like
well.
me? Is it like me in Blazers?
I didn't know you had a thing against Blazers, but
Just
Kaylee
ill-fitting
must
ones.
hate that Bloodborne fella.
oh yeah, she seems to be very tolerant of Bloodborne feller. And then I also played Everspace, which is a really fun roguelite space shooter, which has really pretty explosions in it. And I'm better at that game than I remembered. Also, lastly, I played 30 seconds of Ion Fury before the show. So,
Hey, you know what's out tomorrow though?
what's that?
Spelunky 2.
Oh yeah, I was just reading a Facebook post about that.
Yeah.
So I imagine you were quite excited.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
You're gonna spelunk some.
It sounds like it's very slightly easier, which I could definitely use
Okay.
because I'm real bad at Spelunky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that this game is everything that you want and more.
I mean, hey, it's getting awesome scores, you know?
Yeah, IGN gave it a 10 out of 10, which I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But also, Tom gave me 2 stickers. You can't really see them. You can see the Upright Citizens Brigade sticker right there. You don't
Nope.
you don't see that right there?
Nope.
We
It
can't on the call, but they'll be able to in frame.
Okay.
Like in the video.
So
Yeah.
those of you watching at home can see this Upright Citizens Brigade sticker. My fight stick is covering up a Bjork sticker that he got me, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
So
I got those for you a long time ago.
Yeah, but
It's just been virus season.
Yeah, I have a copy of The Last of Us 2 that I'm meaning to give Tom. Right before I left the apartment, I was like, "Don't forget the game," and I remembered it right as I got there. So, but that's it. That's what I've been up to. Sinead, what about you?
I've been playing a little more Animal Crossing
Cool.
because my sister is doing this really cute idea. So she's had a library for a while. My sister's a very big reader, and she's decided now that she's like collected a bunch of stuff, she's gonna do like vignettes of different books all around her island. So she has like a little like table with like mushrooms and like dolls and stuff for like Alice in Wonderland. She has a little section for like the Three Musketeers, Harry Potter, like Charlotte's Web. So I've been I mean basically just cleaning up my island after not touching it for 2 months.
Sure. I'm actually in the same boat as you right now.
And then just playing that Atomi on the Switch. I played a decent amount of I Am Bread. I don't regret spending the $2 on it, but I'm not going to play it anymore.
Yeah.
Still haven't touched Last of Us. Probably gonna do that this upcoming weekend. And then just been playing a lot of Divinity 2. We also went to Home Depot and got like a bunch of Ethernet cable and like splitters, and then made Ethernet cords for my work and my PC, so I have less latency issues. And then yeah, just been playing like Divinity when I can with Birdo. With our schedules being so different, I think I'm about to start a campaign like just by myself and just like stop whenever we get to like wherever we are in the game.
Oh.
Because so like with it, there's like you can do like, up to a party of 4, but they have like this like trait in there called Lone Wolf, where if you the less amount of people in your party, that you get more like strength and bonuses and stuff. And it's just me and him playing as each one character, but we kind of were thinking we should have done it like as 2 characters each, so I can like experiment more, because I've been getting more into the crafting, which is still not great, but like we had a bunch of shit that we've been saving, so finally getting into that. And then I also like have been respecting one of my characters. I was like super tank heavy, but now I'm going pure ranger and having fun with it. But I just like I want to try a lot of things, but I only have the one character, and I could have had 2 to like fuck around with. And so yeah, just a lot of Divinity, to be honest.
Shanae, I can't wait until you are at the point in your computer gaming career when you start referring to your computer as your rig. I can't wait till you're that guy.
I mean, I can just start being that guy now.
And then
it
you'll
just wouldn't be
know-
it wouldn't be very sincere.
You'll know you've made it.
Huh.
So,
I also need to get a new cord so I can plug in both my monitors, because right now I'm like solo monitoring it on
sure.
there.
The cool thing about having 2 monitors is it makes you feel like a hacker man. That's what I like about it.
I mean, yeah. Also, like, you can do more stuff.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
And then, I think. Yeah, I kind of had a bit of a busy week, so I haven't played as much as I have been playing. At least not at a variety as I've been playing last like month or so. But yeah, just really enjoying Divinity. I've talked a lot of shit about it for a while and really liking it.
So you like thought you weren't going to be into it before you'd played it?
Uh, the I can't do it without my camera turning off. But I played on. I thought I played it on a 360.
Yeah. I know the first one was. I think the first one was on the 360.
Huh.
I think. I
And
might be
then,
misremembering.
but yeah, but I remember just like playing a little bit of it and just like not getting it on the console at all and not
Yeah.
really liking it. Like I thought it was just like a really bad wannabe like Diablo mixed in with some like other Western RPG stuff.
Whoa! Excuse me.
Bless you. And then, but like, I think that might have just been because it was on console. Because I also did not. I mean, I liked Final Fantasy and I liked playing it on the PS4 because it's what we had at the time.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, I still would have rather played it on a PC. So maybe just like for these kind of things, like I'm just a PC person because I also played Diablo mainly on the computer and not like on console.
Well, like
So
they
I think,
actually did a good job bringing over Diablo, though, right? Like, I could see
oh,
Divinity being like not great on a console, you know?
well, I also just didn't get the storyline and I didn't like look really much into it. I just do the thing that I do with games. I'm like, hey, I want to play this, dive in, and then
No one
like,
cares about the Diablo story.
no, I think Divinity.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
I do. I do.
But
really.
my dad
No.
also cares about the Diablo story.
If anybody
But
cared about the Diablo story, adventure mode wouldn't be a thing, okay?
but he, but yeah, no. So, but I mean, Diablo just had all those issues at launch on the PC, and so it was just kind of like, this game's almost unplayable. I'm just gonna give it a break for a while. But it ended up
Unplayable.
eventually playing. Yeah, there was just like a lot of issues in the launch.
I had it at launch. I loved that thing. I liked it better at launch than the state that it's in now, honestly.
I haven't played it
But
anytime recently, so I don't know necessarily what changed. But I just
yeah,
like I tried playing with friends like on that online thing at launch, and it like I had a hard time getting into the on the servers. I had a hard time like with friends like
wow.
staying in game, and there was just like a lot of glitchy, weird stuff that was just like I okay, and then like good stuff. Yeah, so it was just like a lot of like technical issues that I had, and but I still like. I mean, I still love Diablo. I do enjoy most Blizzard games that I've played. But yeah, no, Divinity is super good. I regret giving it a bad rap for a while, but I'm super digging it now.
Right on.
And then yeah. But you had a topic this week, Ryan?
Yes, sir. So, this week, fellas, I wanted to talk to you guys about uh, games that you, the themes that you have perceived to be prevalent in games that you've played, and talking about whether or not the themes that you had noticed particularly resonated with you. Um, I have some specific examples of themes in games that I have played that I have brought to the table. I wanted to know if you guys had games that had prominent themes that you had noticed and thought were like like provoked thought in you, or that you noticed the themes but you didn't like it or whatever. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on this stuff, and I just thought it would be a nice thing to talk about this week.
Well, lead
But
the way, Ryan.
give me an example because
It's kind of
I
vague.
need that.
It's
Yeah, it
it's,
is
is it vague? Okay,
quite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's quite vague.
yeah.
Okay,
quite vague.
quite.
Quite.
Okay, there we go. That's what I was looking for. All right, so I'm gonna start us off. Let me get my notebook, okay? Hold on.
You'd have already grabbed your notebook.
It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Okay, so I will concede that I was being vague. No one had asked me for clarification, so I thought we were good. But here we go. All right. So the first game that
Yeah,
I'm. Oh, sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say I was just gonna do what we're doing. I was just gonna sorry, it was a delayed on there. But yeah, no, I just was gonna ask you what you meant on the show, like we're doing now. Because I was like, he'll explain it later.
Fair. Fair. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But first, though, sorry.
All right.
You
So
got a little De Niro there.
yeah, it just comes out sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, what can I say? All right. So, I guess the first of the games, the first of the three games that I want to bring up is Dark Souls. Okay. I wrote down some bullet points here. All right. So, one of the themes that I have on and I think is very prevalent in the game, and specifically the first Dark Souls, but I think it is something that what's the word? Is consistent throughout all three Dark Souls games, but I feel like I felt it most prominently in the first game, and that is like the major theme I think in Dark Souls is despair, and specifically enduring through that despair and moving through it and feeling and going through the hardship to the point to where it becomes desperation, and ultimately through going into when you conclude the journey, change through pain. And I felt like these three themes in Dark Souls they resonated with me only in that they stand in such a stark contrast, I think, to a lot of action RPGs, in that at some point in a lot of action RPGs, as you gain levels and as you get better equipment, you feel you're made. They give you the projection of being kind of, I guess, like a kind of a demigod, right? Like you're just this powerful force that becomes at some point nigh unstoppable. And that's like kind of a loop with a lot of action RPGs. Whereas one of the things that they kind of try to reinforce, regardless of your progression or your build or whatever kind of equipment that you find yourself with, is that no matter like what you try to give yourself as a boon, you will continue to suffer, and you will continue to have to make an effort to persevere through that suffering. And that is just so interesting to me, because I think that a lot of games, they try to at some point make you feel powerful. And I think that what Dark Souls does is they find ways to remind you that you're not, and in doing so also tell stories of other characters within that world who tried to wield some kind of power and found themselves wanting in some way, and kind of doomed themselves to this ongoing torment as a result of it. And that sort of thing, it resonates with me, because I don't feel like we tend to, at least in my experience, I could really only speak for myself, but in the games that I play, I don't feel like these other characters, these other beings that either I'm fighting or interacting with, are just as much a part of the story as I am, such that I almost feel in Dark Souls like I'm no more a major character than any of the NPCs that I'm fighting, be it the fodder that you face at the beginning of the game to like these huge bosses that you fight throughout the game.
I think more important than the skellies.
What's that?
Yeah, right. Sure.
I think you're more important than the skellies that you gotta fight.
Well, see, and I think that
because you got skin.
Dry bones.
I think that kind of is a little bit open to interpretation, right? Because on one hand, you could be seen as the savior who rekindles the flame, or you're seen as no more than a cursed undead who lost their way. And what that
still seems more significant than those enemies.
I mean, honestly, that's not. I mean, with the hundreds of hours that I spent with the game and absorbing all of that,
yeah,
that's how I felt in the game. And that's what's so great about it, I think, though. because the game never exalts you to make you feel like you're this world-saving hero. You are an undead who is looking for his own asylum, his own redemption, and there are so many other characters who are around you that are looking for the same thing, to sometimes to the point where they've gone mad in search of it, and it reinforces that could very easily be your fate. Like, this could very easily be your character's fate should they ever succumb to that desperation, succumb to the despair that is constantly at their back. And that is a theme. These are the themes that I mentioned. These are all what resonate with me about in Dark Souls. And so that's what my line of thinking was when I asked you guys what themes you guys have noticed in video games and how they resonate with you. Not so much the verbatim story beats of the game, but what is something that what is the overall vibe of the game that you noticed kind of stuck with you?
It's an interesting topic for sure. I don't think we've ever done a talk exactly like this, and I don't know. That's hard.
Like, kind of want to like touch on yours. I think though that despair that you're speaking of, like that feeling, not necessarily of an inadequacy, but that unspecialness, comparative to like other action adventure games. I think that's also like what brings the difficulty into it to play. Not that game had to be difficult to create that feeling, but to create the feeling, I do feel like it had to be difficult, because if you're breezing through everything, you're not going to feel despair.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel frustration. You're not going to feel like all the things that the Dark Souls franchise is about.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that you described it now is like in your viewpoint of it and the theme of it, I think that gives that franchise a lot more credit than people who just say, oh, the game is hard, or just like, oh, it's a good game, it's really difficult. I think as far as like describing the actual game, I think that's like a lot better. As far as like
not everyone's there for the lore though, you know?
Yeah. But I feel like even if you don't read the books or whatever on the lore stuff, you still get that the fact is like, because I've watched Birdo play it and stuff like that, and I've watched other people play it. I never really truly played them myself, besides some Demon Souls. And I tried a little bit, but I never could get into it. But even with that, like, you still, I feel like, grasp what he's talking about.
Sure. No, I get that. I think like it's such a weird thing to, at least for me, to think of the character I'm controlling as insignificant because I'm controlling that character, right? It's like, pretty can I really be the hero, right? I forget what it is. There's like 9,000 or whatever, right? So like you're this one of fucking 9,000, and like you die and you're not returning as the same Prinny, you're returning as a whole new one. But like it doesn't feel that way, you know? You're controlling that character. I don't know, for me anyway.
Yeah, and I think it can be hard to kind of, like, I think that coming up when we play video games, it almost always, like, one of the big selling points, right, of a lot of games is like, you are the hero. Right. You are the star of the show, and everything revolves around you. And so it's kind of hard to divorce yourself from the idea of that maybe not being the case. And especially when you are in direct control of everything this character does, and you're still, I think even at the back of your mind, this character can still be as great or as abysmal as you're capable of making them. So, I mean, again, I definitely see where you're coming from, though, Tom. It's hard to, especially when you, as the player, accomplish like what the game would consider to be nigh impossible feats to get to the next screen, right? So it's definitely hard to see yourself as an insignificant presence in this grander scheme. But like, I think that to Shanae's point, I think that the difficulty of Dark Souls serves the narrative purpose of at the very least attempting to make you feel that way. I
Sure.
think whether or not it's successful is it varying results with that, right? But I think that for me and what my mindset is when I play these games, I think that it is very effective. Um, and I think that that is a good reason for that kind of balancing to exist, not so much for just being difficult for the sake of being difficult, because I feel like that's pointless.
Yeah, yeah.
But being difficult for the purpose of conveying a very specific message to you, I think is very
Yeah.
powerful.
So like the first game I guess like comes to mind for me as far as like themes and kind of like resonate is I've played other Shin Megami Tensei games, but Persona 5 was like the first one that I like really played, and obviously I got very into it. You'll listen to me talk about it for months. And I don't know,
Remember that.
and like yes, I liked the gameplay and a lot of the features about it, but the story of I don't know, I do like agree with like Ryan a lot. I like the good boy stories.
Yeah.
And with that, like it's just with, at least for Persona 5, I can't really speak upon the others. But like the people in power can a lot of them are corrupt. And like and the feeling of being able to necessarily do something about it. And not necessarily on there. I guess like as far as that goes, like as far as theme goes, like that's something that really like made me really like going into it because each new like kind of like stage or boss, I was just like whenever they're getting introduced, I'm like, how fucked up are they? What are they doing? Who is in charge of this fucked up area? And it like made me more interested in the art style. It made me like because of the theme and the narrative of the game, like it made me more excited for each new level. Even if I like like obviously on that one, I'm not getting challenged as much as I am with like say Dark Souls or another game. But even with that, as far as and it still doesn't feel light like when I have to play it. Like I still have to put thought and like figure out my monsters and stuff. Even with New Game Plus, there's still like I still have to be thoughtful about what I do, but it's in a fun way where I feel cool because I still live my fantasy, but also like I just I really liked the like, oh shit, people are corrupt and they have this like crazy dreamscape where they do terrible things, but it's like exists in this alternate realm, and I was like really down for that.
Does a better job of that than previous Persona games. Like I like other Persona games better than 5, but 5 does a better job of that, of like, hey, these adults are like not so great, like it hits that home
Fucked.
pretty hard. Yeah.
And then the deception in there and how like devastating it felt when you find out that character was not on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be vague to not spoil anything,
Sure. Yeah.
but I don't know, it kind of just like prove that like yeah, anybody can be corrupt. And like through it too, like you also see like I think even on like the volleyball coach or like maybe not the volleyball coach, but I remember you seeing like other people your age like
Yeah.
going along with the adults and like and knowing kind of what's going on and like still like perpetrating it.
It's interesting because at the beginning, like I think that with the volleyball coach, they kind of they weren't that subtle with it. Like you look at him, like even outside of his palace, you're just kind of like this guy seems kind of like he's a piece of
Piece of
shit.
shit.
But as it goes on, they get a little bit more subtle with it, and just like to your point, just to prove like anybody publicly can be great, but like can always privately be garbage. And I think I thought that was a very like interesting kind of like just juxtaposition that they had with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I am like normally like kind of like I normally kind of gravitate to games that have some sort of alternate realm that encapsulates what's happening on another part of the game. Like a dreamscape, these like whatever escape it is for when they go in the tunnels and you do all these like stuff for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just always think it's super interesting because it gives such a more creative license to be ridiculous or have these like fantastical feats that you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So like, I don't know. I'm just sitting here trying to think about it. I think the only thing I can really think of is like Ueda's games. Like in general, all of his games are about companionship,
Right.
and like he's talked about that pretty publicly. Uh, but like you see it, right? Like every one of his games that have released so far, Eco Shadow of the Colossus or The Last Guardian, like that's what it's about. Sometimes it's fucking White Fang / Call of the Wild, you
Yeah.
know, but like it's still about companionship. But like it's so on the nose though, right? Like it's not like some hidden message. That's obvious what those games are about, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
So
So does
I don't
that?
know.
So how does that resonate with you though? Is that something that like that is close to you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he does a better job of it than most, and he started doing it before most people did, right? Like now we've got games like The Last of Us or whatever,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Or like we've got a lot more characters like that now. He did a good job of it with a very minimalist approach a long time before anybody else was doing it, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of something like a Final Fantasy, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Say,
yeah.
or based off some sort of like movie or pre-existing
Right,
genre where
right.
they can expand upon friendships more and
Yeah.
companionship. Because I mean, because it does remind me of like in a lot of aspects like Studio Ghibli. Like they have a very definitive like theme. They're all
Yeah.
they're basically all kids or young adults that are going through some change in their life and they're having to accept it. And it's learning
Not
to
Pom
go with,
Poko.
I'd say a majority.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Miyazaki ones, right? Like for
yeah,
sure.
all the Miyazaki ones.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, yeah, Howl's Moving Castle, she was a little bit older, but she still was going through a life change, Spirited Away, she's like, moving. Ponyo, the little fish wants to grow up from the parents. A lot of them, majority of them are like kids going through the stages, and I think that's what resonates with people so much on there. But it is just a very like clear thing that like when you watch, you're like, yeah, this is obviously what this is about.
Yeah. And even his next game, like all we know is hashtag Beauty and the Beast, but like I guarantee it'll be something like that, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
But I like that stuff a lot, and I like that like with Eco, it's like just a stranger, right? You don't know what's her name, Yorda. You don't
Yeah.
know Yorda before you save her from that cage. With The Last Guardian, like I said, it is very Call of the Wild. It's very Jack London, right? Like it really is. But like with Shadow of the Colossus, you don't know who Mono is to you, right? Like
Right.
people speculate, oh, that's his lover or that's his sister. Or, like you have no idea who that is. It never tells you who that is. All you need to know is that that's somebody that's important to you, you know.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
What I think was like really really powerful about Eco is I cared about Yorda the moment, like the very moment that I saved her from that cage. Like I cared about her, like not knowing anything about her, why she was in that castle or anything. I immediately felt like I want to protect her from all those shadow goop monsters as best I can, and I always remember feeling like kind of like almost tangible anxiety whenever I had to leave her behind to go like solve a puzzle because I was leaving her vulnerable and feeling like
I said to do the puzzle to stay safe. I have to have this puzzle.
I mean, the whole game's an escort mission, right?
Yeah.
But
it's like it's so funny because like how many times have you heard people talk about how much they hate escort missions, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean,
a lot of them are bad, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. But with with Eco, it just felt like this is my friend. Like I don't know anything about you, but I know that you're my friend, and I want to protect you.
Well, it's funny. You think about like many years later, Peter Molyneux talks about holding hands in Fable 3.
Yeah.
Like it was a new thing.
Yeah.
You know, and like it felt so just lifeless in Fable 3.
Like there was no real like actual purpose to it.
Right. but
and
like,
and the physics
It's just like Barbie's holding hands.
it
Yeah,
was
exactly,
honestly, and
for
like
sure.
the way that
Yeah.
the way that the physics worked in the game, it was more comedic than sentimental most of the time.
Right.
Whereas like whenever Ego grabs her hand, you just like you immediately feel like there's that connection there, right? And he just guides her, and it feels real,
Yeah.
which is
It's like you're like a sibling, right? Or like
yeah,
a fucking little kid, or almost,
yeah,
like yeah.
and it's a like the relationship between those two translates into uh, something very real to the player, I think. Um, and it's astounding to me that as effectively as that was done, and how great that was done with just almost literally no dialogue exchange between the two of them, because she speaks a completely different language as him, so they can't really understand each other anyway. But it was done so well, and it's amazing that and I haven't seen anything like that, like really since. And I guess that's just a testament to how, almost honestly, how great that game is.
And same thing with Last Guardian. Like, that's such a believable fucking bird dog.
Yeah.
Like it really is. The way it acts, it's very believable.
Yeah.
And like, I don't cry at like hardly anything, but that thing had me tearing up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
he's he's definitely good at what he does.
sure.
And like, if he just continues making these fucking companionship games forever, if that's all he ever puts out, like, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, and why
Yeah.
not? Because I think, like, again, we haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything. I haven't played anything, I should say, like Ego, and that game is almost 20 years old at this point. Um, and I think that there is like a huge lack of games that kind of that build themselves around a sentimental connection like that. That build themselves around making you feel like like you really truly need to protect this other person that you're with, or that this person.
Games that do it well,
Yeah.
like, I think The Last of Us definitely hit some of those points, but like, there's, I think movies and video games, at least like storytelling video games, are like stuck in like this 3-act structure that they just think is necessary when other art forms don't worry about that shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Ueda's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do this random crap,
Yeah.
And I think it works well.
Yeah.
Like people kind of probably because of the precedents, like have that expectation of like the beginning,
Yeah,
like middle and conclusion
right.
to feel that closure with the game. And they need that like that hill to feel
Yeah.
like it's good. And I mean, if it's something that's working and people are liking and that's what they're wanting, then I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing to do that, because at least
No,
it's a
not
complete.
at all. It's palatable.
At least it's
You can
well, also
you can sell it.
also it's at least a complete thought, and not
Yeah.
like it doesn't feel like. So why did I just do all this stuff? And
I don't think any of his games feel that way, though.
No, I'm not saying that any of like Eco or any of those
Yeah.
feel that way, but I'm talking about for like other games that do it, because there
Yeah.
are
Plug and play.
well, yeah,
Why-
there are other games I've played that I put
Why
a
did
lot
I
of
plug
effort
into
in,
those butts? I don't know.
so
I
I
don't
can
know
play
why
with
I did
them.
that.
So I can play
Yeah.
with them.
But
But
I mean, like, we have an abstract art, right? Like, but people are so scared to do that with film and with video games and with like many things.
Yeah.
uh,
I think that's like just like you said a minute ago, Tom. It's like it's like kind of for a lot of people that could be the opposite of palatable, though, right?
Sure.
And it's hard to like I think that especially when and honestly I think that this seems to apply more to the interactive medium of video games than it does for film, in that like people really need to feel like they know what they're getting into a lot of time when it comes to video games. And like the more like, because I could look at it like to your example, Plug and Play, I could look at that and be like, well, I don't know if I want to, I don't know what is this, I don't know what this is, like. And so like I'd have
But that's why I bought it, you know.
yeah, but yeah, so there are some people who are definitely drawn to like, well, this is weird, I need to check this out, versus but there are also people who are like, this is weird, I don't know if I want to check this out.
Yeah.
But also, I think a lot of people like feeling like they know where they are in the story as well in a game. Because there's a lot of times I've played games where I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm about halfway done.
Yeah.
And like I'm about halfway done.
And Ueda's games are very, very linear, and you can tell what is happening, right? Like, it's not abstract at all. But like the way he tells stories, other people just don't in gaming, or at least not often, right? You kind of get that sense with like some Genova Chen games, but like not real frequently. I just think that like we could use more daring directors, you know.
Yeah.
It's like that fucking Kaufman film you watched last week, Ryan. You know? Like, yeah, there's not enough people doing that weird shit, you know.
That was certainly an adventure. I don't, the funny thing about that Kaufman film and other films that made me feel similarly, like films like Mother, like there's a point at which I feel like this feels like a dream, like in the way that dreams feel, like where like
weird,
it's like everything is ever so slightly off. And
you're at work, but like it's not really your work, and people have a horse body.
Yeah, and like so
it's Ryan, and I know it's Ryan, but it doesn't look like Ryan. But it's Ryan.
Yeah, and so like I could take 2 hours of that, sure.
Right.
20 hours of it, I don't know.
But like it doesn't have to be 20 hours though. Like Plug and Play is like a fucking 15-minute game. You know?
And I think that more people are
not saying it's good.
Yeah,
don't buy it. But
I think people are making more.
Is it $2?
Something like that.
I think people are making more of a case for, you know, shorter games, right? Like that are like more of a concise experience. Whereas, you know, just very recently, people were actively making cases against games like that because they were having the whole dollars to hours conversation.
Right.
But, you know, we've talked about it many times about the short games that we played, like that have been very powerful experiences and managed to create that in the span of sometimes less than an hour. Like Florence, that was a 30-minute. That was a whole 30-minute thing, but
$60 game.
Yeah.
But also, like, some people, it's that whole thing where if it's not a $60 game, if people pay $60 and it's short, they're gonna be mad they spent the $60. But if it wasn't $60, they're not gonna buy the game because they don't think it's good.
Right.
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Meh.
And that's with everything, even outside of video games, right? We assume that because something's more expensive, it's better. But you know,
not the case.
But like, was that good though, Ryan?
No, that's excellent. That's literal. That's
Florence is great.
That's literally what I was thinking of when I brought this up.
Well, I like
what's your
it's a good topic.
I was gonna say, what's your second example? Because he said he had 3.
Yeah, I got 3. So I would be remiss, y'all, if I didn't bring up No Man's Sky. Okay, here we go. All right.
Oh boy.
Okay, so
I'm gonna get a bowl from the fridge. I'll be back in like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Ryan, do what you do.
Okay. No, okay, so this is actually a conversation that I'd had. This is a conversation that I'd had with somebody pretty recently. It was just like a general conversation about storytelling in video games and like kind of the overarching idea of like game design and things like that. Because he knows, like, it's somebody who knows a lot about that sort of thing, and I don't know very much about it, so it's just kind of like a little back and forth that we were having. And I was talking to him about the themes that with No Man's Sky, they kind of drip feed like the narrative of that game to you.
I was gonna say, is there a narrative besides explore space, go to the planets, mine shit?
So let me.
You learn languages and stuff and talk to people.
So the funny thing about the story of No Man's Sky is it was something that was kind of It was kind of put there, kind of post launch. They had kind of like the skeleton of a story, but like they didn't really expound upon that until like later updates and everything. So there are actually three. There are actually three separate storylines in the game at this point. But there is one called the Atlas Path, which is like tens of hours long, that kind of takes you to different points in the galaxy, and getting the story in that format kind of expounded this theme to me, which is I feel like the overarching theme of No Man's Sky at this point in the way that it exists now is exploring the nature of existence and what it means to what it means to be alive, and two, what it means to find your purpose and defining what that purpose is. And throughout the game, throughout that particular storyline, your character asks themselves questions like what am I looking
I
for?
hear.
Well, they ask themselves a lot of questions like, what am I looking for? Who am I? Where did I come from? And none of these are things that the character knows, but they're continually on the search for, and they keep going to each of these Atlas beacons, hoping to find more of an answer. And at every beacon that they encounter, they ask themselves that question again of, what is the nature of my existence? And do I have a destination? Will I know it when I see it? Have I already been there? Does it even exist? And even further, takes you down the path of counting the cost of discovery, and when is that cost too high, and when do you just decide that you are who you are where you are, and that's it.
I believe
What's that?
that's Popeye, I believe.
Oh no, Popeye says I am
And what I am.
and that's all what I am. Okay.
I'm just fucking with you.
But it continually asks that question. Over the hours-long journey that you go finding all these beacons, it continually asks that question. And the question is never really answered in a way that is, like, succinct or concrete. It's left kind of... it's one of those... It's open to interpretation kind of things, right? But I know that there are games that question, I guess, the broader idea of humanity and the broader idea of existence. But
Yeah.
when I put that against the backdrop of like an endless and ongoing void that is space, it takes kind of like a very much a space odyssey.
You like space? I was like, you love space exploration,
Yeah.
so like adding this thought to space exploration
Well,
is kind of your jam.
It's crazy, right? Because the backdrop of space, which is like infinite and ongoing, and questioning the nature of your existence while being in the middle of that void is just, it's something that like it makes me feel like asking that question is something that I'll think about, for a really long time, like thinking about the nature of existence and the context of being a denizen of this ongoing and endless universe. And it's kind of a what's the word? A persistent theme throughout the game as you find things, as you find relics, as you find crashed freighters, as you find the ruins of lost civilization. It is always asking the question of, what does it mean to exist, and do I actually have a purpose in this universe? And that is very compelling to me.
Nice.
And it's funny
Do
because
you find such a
go ahead.
Sorry, delay again. My apologies. Keep going.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I'm glad that you found like such profoundness in this game, especially compared to like when it launched and all the
Yeah,
hate that it's gotten. A lot of people have talked about how much better it is, but I mean, as far as it goes and the things that I've seen, because I was like, how much better is it? And the fact that you love it, I've looked into it, and I definitely can like some of the videos and playthroughs that I've watched recently. I can definitely see where that theme is. I don't think it resonates with me because that's not my jam, but it is nice that like to have like a hobby or not hobby, like a genre that you really enjoy, and it's kind of like spatial exploration isn't the most niche, but it is nicher than others.
yeah.
And to have something that is more thought provoking or different than the other ones that you've been playing, I'm glad you have that.
Well, I think No Man's Sky is. I think that all space games share the same trait in that they are all very much a you will get as much out of this as you put into it kind of thing, and in that like all space games like have this weird like slow initial grind to them before they actually start giving you anything really of substance. And so I can definitely see how even now with all the improvements that have been made to the game, I could see how someone could look at it on its face and just be like, "Nope, there's nothing here," right? But again, it's something that it rewards you
It's
for.
nothing, but it's just nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it it's something. It's very much something that rewards you for seeking those things out. Um, so yeah, that's basically where I was going with that.
Cool.
What about your third example?
Oh, right. So where's my so my third example.
Notebook.
So so my third example is BioShock. Um, specifically the first one, which is I think of the three, I think I've probably spent the most time thinking about. While it is certain while the first one is certainly not my favorite of the three, um, it is something that I thought about only because of I think about it the way I thought about it when I played it versus how I feel about these themes like now that I'm 15 years older.
Man.
Now that I'm a man, right? So so um Andrew Ryan's uh I guess his objectivist utopia that he built in Rapture. Um, it's just that, right? Like the pursuit of greatness at any cost, the pursuit at personal perfection, independent of anyone else, independent of ethics, morals, whatever those are, whatever, right? And what I think about a lot
Rapture was originally supposed to be.
uh, so what I think about a lot, right, is about um, how heavily inspired by the writings of objectivist novelist Ayn Rand this whole thing was, right? And
Mm,
when I was, how old was I? I think I was probably in my early 20s when this game came out. And when I when I when I first saw all that stuff, I was like, this is so, it's just mind blowing. This is just crazy, amazing. Like, just like personal perfection, the nihilist pursuit of success is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. And then I'm bringing this up because now I go back and I look at this one, like, as I'm, I've, my ideologies have changed greatly since that game came out. And when I saw that at first, even in the landscape of what Rapture is, when you actually get to experience it, which is a ruin and a monument to the hubris of Andrew Ryan, even when I saw it in that context, I still thought that these ideals are sound and awesome. And now almost 15 years later, I've kind of done like a complete 180 on that. And
Well, no wonder it failed. Fuck this shit.
Funny too, because like you're saying, like that's not the message the game presents, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And and it's weird that the game gives me every single reason why this thing fell apart.
Yeah.
And I still thought it was awesome. And I think that was very much like I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I thought that I don't know, I thought that for some reason, if I looked at the objectivist philosophy that drove Rapture and I guess tried in some way to adopt it, that would make me some sort of that would make me an intellectual of some kind. And I realized later on in my life how full of shit that whole line of thinking was.
Like very black and white, and
Yeah.
the world is shades of gray, and morally everything can be debated depending on like people life experience and all that stuff. So like I think there is something that the people like do like to attach to when it comes to those ideals, because it's pretty straightforward, and it makes you like, why isn't everyone doing this? This is so this is such a good idea. Well, the reason is because it's not a good idea, because it's not how the world works.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is that the talented should benefit from their talent, you
Right.
know, and that others should not.
Right.
It's a very selfish way of thinking.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessarily all bad. But, you know, it is funny that, you know, it's not the message the game presents, and that's what you took from it. Like,
Yeah.
that is very funny.
Well, but again, this is like like the impressionable 15-year-old who listened to everything that Tyler Durden says and was like, you know what? Yes, you know, and it was like that kind of line of thinking. Like, you take this, who's someone who is obviously a bullshit artist, and take everything to heart, and just kind of regurgitate it to anyone who will listen. That was basically Ryan in his early 20s, and now 35-year-old Ryan realizing how full of shit all of that was. But
that was Andrew Ryan. This
Sure.
is Ryan Robinson.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Ryan Rice for your grave, Robinson.
Yeah. Ryan for your grave.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ryan in his early 20s was Andrew Ryan.
Yeah.
This is but yeah, and it's funny though, right? Because like, you know, when a game takes such a philosophical slant as that game does, as your ideology, as your belief system changes or your ideologies change, going back to a work
When you
like
grow up.
yeah, as you grow up, going back to a game like that, it takes on a whole different light, I think, because I see the world differently, a lot differently now than I saw it 15 years ago, and I kind of like I'm playing I played through this game within the last few months or so, and like the whole time just like kind of just side-eyed everything. Like every time Andrew Ryan came on, I was like, really? But it's weird because like it's still even now all that stuff is stuck with me. I don't buy into it, but it's still something that I think about every time BioShock is mentioned.
Yeah, I kind of like have had a similar experience with like rereading Harry Potter as an adult, because as a child, I mean, I was the demographic for them, like, and I bought each one as they came out, and I thought Harry and his friends were so smart, and the ideas and the thoughts of like that love can conquer all and like has all this power and stuff like that. And as an adult, I'm just like, why is no one stopping them?
Yeah.
They're in such danger. These poor babies. And I think that it's always like fun to go back to those things that have had that perspective because, like, you know, with being courageous and brave and
Yeah.
saying what's right and stuff like that, those ideals that I have gotten from, like, you know, granted, a lot of it's young adult fiction, so, like, of course it's going to spout those. But reading them, like, back further, realizing the shortcomings, I do understand, like, what, like, it sticks to you, and it is, like, I don't have a better word besides weird.
Well,
Like, being
like,
like, ah.
it's easy to get swept up in it when you're like as a younger person. It's easy to get swept up in that sort of thing because it's so when they romanticize it in a in a specific way. It's easy to like.
It's the bathysphere slideshow, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
no,
like
says the man from the Vatican. It
Yeah.
belongs to God.
yeah, and
That
like
kind of thing,
because
right?
and
Yeah.
basically like
I have
Andrew.
no idea what you're referencing.
So as you're descending, the first part of Bioshock, you're descending into.
No, I meant Oh, is that what he was talking about?
Yeah. He's like you descend into Rapture through this
Bathysphere.
through through
It's
the
a vehicle called a bathysphere.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember going down and like you see all the things before you
Yeah.
dock. I just
It's
I
just it's
memory of a goldfish. Do not remember what they're called.
it's funny because like Andrew Ryan, like in that I guess in that 15 seconds, the 15 30 seconds, he managed to
Yeah.
like galvanize me. And I was like, oh hey yeah,
Yes!
yeah. Why should
I mean,
why should they
yeah,
benefit from my work? You know?
It's such a funny speech, like, and it's written that way, right? Like, Ken Levine was very smart with those games. I know he didn't do all the writing, but like that whole Baptist, like that's Stalin slamming his fist. You
Yeah.
know? Like that's what that is. And
Yeah.
like you bought into it. That's
Yeah.
all.
Like hey, hey,
They got me.
I bought in.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
Yeah.
But again, like of course, like a 21-year-old kid's gonna like hear that and be like, you know what?
Right. Yeah.
Hell yeah, you know.
I mean, some of it makes sense, right? Yeah.
So
But, like,
but it's only like in the with the clarity of hindsight, I look
Yeah.
at it and I just say no, that's it's all bullshit.
yeah.
But it is interesting to revisit that stuff only to kind of observe it in a different light. And I think that it was written, at least for the time, I think it was written very smartly. And I think that a lot of time when people talk about BioShock, they talk about the twist at the end, which is at the time was compelling, but it is the aspect, like I guess as is the nature of all plot twists, the aspect of that ages the worst.
Yeah.
But
The end of that game is the worst part of that game.
yeah,
You know, the whole like "would you kindly" thing is fine. That's whatever. But like, then you fight some giant gold thing.
yeah,
You know, what is
Yeah.
that?
Goldfinger.
What is? Oh, I never beat the game. I didn't realize that was the ending.
Yeah, you fight
Yeah.
Goldfinger. The band. but yeah, and I think that when like as BioShock moved forward, because those weren't themes that I picked up on in the interview. Well, I guess that was also kind of prevalent in Infinite, only because but it was like it wasn't so much built on like individual greatness as it was built up on like racism. But
About racism and class and
Yeah.
things of that nature.
yeah,
But
but and I think and I wonder also like what kind of game or what kind of story would it have been if the first BioShock came out like this year, and if it would have still been written that way, or if it would have still had those same would have had those same beats and still kind of would have gone with those same themes, like what kind of game it would have been now, and if like 15 years from now, if that game would have aged better than BioShock has aged at this point.
I think not. If they're hitting the same beats, still the plot twist, still hitting that. I don't think necessarily would have aged better. I think it would probably been written differently. Maybe had some other references in there to be more, I guess, like where people can connect to it a little bit differently than they did, than they probably would the first time playing BioShock now. But I feel like for that franchise, it would probably still be the same because a lot of things like we don't know what 15 15 years from now is going to be like. We don't know what the culture is going to be like, slang, any of that stuff. So, and at that point, we'll be ancients and boomers. So, like, fuck it.
Yeah.
We'll just be angry and old.
Way ahead of you. But, yeah. I don't know.
I really like this theme though. Or this topic idea. I think that we should revisit it again at some point because there's some games that I kind of have like a formation of an idea, but nothing like fully thought out.
Sure, and it's not like I play games looking to find something in them. I just like something pops out.
Always.
And sometimes a game is like sold to me in a way that like I feel like I should. Other times I play the game and something just pops out at me, and I don't think that any of the games that I don't know, well, maybe they were, I don't know, but initially at least I didn't feel like those were things that were supposed to have jumped out at me. Like when I bought BioShock, I thought it was going to be a weird shooter that I played. I didn't think I was going to get any of that other shit out of it. I didn't think that I was going to get. I didn't think I was going to get any of the shit I got out of the other games that I mentioned. It's just something that sort of happened, which I think is like, what's fun about it. It's fun to find that stuff.
Testament to the storytelling of the game.
Yeah.
That you can get like other things from it.
Yeah.
But do y'all have any closing thoughts?
Ryan, I know you've started it like multiple times. You need to play Nier because like that's all that game is. It's just a bunch of those,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way, like, hearing the way that it wasn't more than hearing how you talked about it, but hearing how it affected your young daughter is like what made it what made it most compelling to me. Because I honestly, and I guess I'm sure preteens are different now than they were when I was a preteen, but I just don't imagine a lot of the time, like if I were a preteen playing that game, I think that what I would have gotten out of it is this is a sexy robot with a big sword and that's fun for me. Whereas
okay, Ren, but she's like way smarter than we were, so
that's also fair.
Oh yeah,
fair point.
Yeah.
She is a smart lady, but
no, she's great.
I'm excited to actually play that game and let it ask me all these philosophical questions and kind of just let it melt my brain. But we'll see.
So this week though on Content Corner, I wanted. I don't care. This is our show. I'm gonna talk about what I want.
She's not talking about what she wants, Tom.
I just give me like a couple minutes.
Just give her a couple minutes.
Yeah, no. So let me finish.
Yeah.
So I've never watched Seinfeld. I'm watching it now. I started like 4 days ago. I'm already on the 3rd season. It is super interesting going back and watching it now, especially since watching it now in a pandemic and a lot of the jokes and grievances. I'm just like, oh, I miss those.
Yeah.
I miss those things that exist.
A simpler time.
Also, just like the just like differences on there. I finished Doom Patrol. It's fantastic. I would recommend it to anybody. I've also talked about before on like pre-shows that I have a list of things I'm trying to catch up on. Right now, I am working on it and putting in categories, and once I do, I'm going to drop it into the Discord if anybody wants to suggest or add anything in there.
You got a lot of lists.
And I do. Oh, gosh, I have so many lists right now. But I forget everything, so I decided I'm just going to make lists and write everything down. And then I'll forget those lists.
Sinead's list.
Yeah. It's like Schindler's List, except the stakes are way lower.
And hopefully it's less depressing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's in color.
I don't know. Schindler's List is on my list of movies, by the way.
It made the list.
Never watched it. Not really. But yeah, if you guys are wanting to listen to us, we can be found on most podcast apps. We're on, the iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all that jazz. we also have this Instagram. We have a Discord. There'll be links to those. And thanks for listening to us. And bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.